So thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session, which is about increasing occupancy in the later living sector. So covering retirement villages and care homes. It's a common topic that people are struggling with. How do they reach the 92% occupancy targets? It's critical doing that from many people's point of view. From the residents, they want thriving communities bustling with life. For operators and investors, they would like, excellent quality of care and financial returns with profit and EBITDA, so you can, reinvest and keep the properties as looking amazing as possible. Now, despite the excellent macroeconomic tailwinds of this aging population, and there's tons of great statistics out there, there are certainly lots of challenges in terms of being able to sell more retirement villages and care homes, some of which we are going to go through here. So we've got issues like the stigma of care homes, particularly in England. We've got care home and retirement villages, misperceptions, outdated opinions from 20 years ago, what people saw their grandparents moving into. We have cultural issues, attitudinal issues, and an economic tough environment with the likes of people needing to sell their houses and interest rates. So for this webinar, we're going to break it up into two parts, really. The first half, I'm going to be looking at really the perspective from our target customer, the decision maker. So for retirement villages, I'll more be the resident themselves. Obviously for care homes, it's more the influence of those people seeking care for their loved ones. So we're going to look in the first half about the customer perspective and this resistance to making this change, the psychology that goes through people, and how the importance of an excellent customer-centric approach to sales and marketing is critical. And then in the second half, we will look more at practical tips, techniques for increasing lead generation, customer journey, and sales conversions. Okay, so just a bit about myself quickly for those who aren't so familiar with me. I've had 30 years working in marketing and sales, so on the strategy side, also the execution. I also heavily experienced in customer experience excellence, all relevant to increasing occupancy. So I believe, obviously I'm biased, but that sales and marketing are the growth engine of businesses. And my experience as being over 20 years on the operator side, working for big companies in the later living space and the hotel sector, looking after sales and marketing or chief commercial officer roles to drive the best revenue. And now I run my own consultancy for 7 years. I put two areas here that a lot of my projects are. You have the turnaround angle for trying to focus on more problematic sites out there and see how we can drive sales rates at those to fill up faster. And then we have pre-opening. So what in the run-up to opening a care home or retirement village is the ideal sales and marketing timeline, so that we can maximize the opening sales rates, be that 30 or 40%. I'm really passionate about this sector, and I haven't shown the logos of hotels just because obviously we're focusing on retirement living and care sector today. I am always going around different care homes and retirement villages, and so many times really happy with what I'm seeing. The staff are absolutely incredible people, just really making such a difference to people's quality of lives, be it the resident or the families. It's such an excellent atmosphere. You've got wonderful facilities out there, some obviously more luxurious than others, but all of them really giving our target customers a great sense of belonging and reassurance that this is just excellent places to be going. So there are many lovely experiences and things that I come across, and I wish more and more of just normal average Joe blogs would come and visit places, because that totally breaks down all the unfortunate misperceptions. So that's sort of my positive side on things. But then this is obviously about being real as well of what's happening. And this next slide shows that many times I visit our places, and I'm doing this either myself just as part of a sales and marketing project, or I do mystery shopping sometimes, I do assessments, and often I feel disappointed and frustrated. And the reason for this really is that a lot of the fundamental areas are missing in many instances, or are poorly executed. And what I'm talking about is the end-to-end prospect journey. So I'm going to say prospect quite a few times in this webinar. Prospect meaning obviously someone who is the decision maker on who is going to be moving to a retirement village or a care home. So I'm always looking at the end-to-end prospect journey that we will go through in some detail this webinar, from how do they find out about us at the beginning, from that initial awareness phase at the top of the funnel, to then how do they sort of move down the funnel in terms of considering us, the interest, coming in for a visit, and move ultimately to hopefully making a decision with us. In this webinar, I am talking about both retirement villages and care homes. I work in both of them frequently. I obviously understand the differences between them, and there are certainly some differences. For instance, the speed from initial inquiry to move-in is a lot quicker in care homes. If you ask some of the CRM providers, they say it's 92 days. It can obviously be the day or 2 days in care homes when there's a critical need, someone's fallen, or something just needs to happen more as an urgency. It can be 2 or 3 months, but in retirement villages on the other end of the spectrum, I think the average number of days is 262. So can vary with the actual duration of the journey. And then other differences, obviously, such as the fee structure, the level of care, and the decision maker, whether it's the family member or the person themselves. My skill is in sales and marketing and optimizing acquisition, service, and retention. And in this space, in those areas, there are so many similarities for how you optimize different growth levers to focus on getting the highest fill-up rates and the best customer experience. So building on what is unfortunately going wrong in many instances is that I feel I'm being sold a product. So it's very real estate driven. It's about products and features. I'm pointing to my room here because it would be about 2 windows and a ceiling. And research has shown that in a customer-centric decision buying process, that can only actually account for 9%. Whereas what I feel is really missing is the selling the change piece, that this is a really emotional decision. The research would say 67% is more on the emotional aspects, and that need to get and help people, reassure them, build the trust that we understand this is a really difficult life transformational thing, and being there in terms of being very supportive and understanding the change journey that people are going through, the actual people moving in and all the families. It's a lot of change for everyone, and I see progress in this, but I think we are a long way off having that at the heart of everything, which will then feed the whole journey on a sales and marketing point of view, is understanding this psychological journey, how you can really need to dial up the connecting with people and getting that deep discovery of their needs and their wants and their fears. So let's get into the customer piece now to look at, well, I've got examples of 2 target customers here. So one of them, let's start with, is what's a lot going through the head of the more elderly, let's say typically 82-year-old lady named Margaret. I said I'm being generic here because I need to do an example, paint and picture of the customer who's actually moving in, versus the next example I'll show you will be more what we call the influencer or the decision maker, particularly in care homes, which can be more like the elder daughter. But coming to the actual person, moving in. There's so many fears and apprehensions going on of why this is a worrying, frightening time. So I've just got some examples here. In their home for ages, don't want to leave, not ready for this. It's a huge financial investment, scared of making the wrong decision. Does it mean I lose my independence? You know, what if I don't like it here? Does it mean my life's over? Will anyone come to visit me? It's just a lot of scary emotions there that you want to empathize with to build trust. So then let's look at the second target customer. So two audiences here. So typically an elder daughter, let's call her Sarah. What is she feeling about moving her loved one in? Well, she might be saying, I'm worried. What if they don't feel at home there? How do I know she's safe? What if she feels lonely, isolated? Will she get the personal attention she needs? Am I a bad daughter? Does she feel that I'm abandoning her? I hope the staff really understand her specific needs. So there's a whole host of different apprehensions, fears, feelings going on there. And this is this big change journey that I've been speaking about. And I'm a very sort of visual analogy person, so I think this concept works quite well here. The change journey representing on the left-hand side all this worry and just the massive daunting process that one needs to go on this, I call it a rickety bridge. Oh, is it, you know, breaking? I'm really nervous about going. It feels terrifying. That is, I'll call it a rickety bridge, because I'll show you later what's more the smooth journey visual. It's something I took from Sherpa and sort of just twisted to put my spin on it. The change journey is at the heart of all of our sales and marketing. And what is our role in sales and marketing to help people on this journey? How are we going to make this transition as smooth as possible? Well, it's absolutely there in the center. Is about, we need to build trust. We need to instill confidence and ease the fears. So those are, you know, big words saying how do you build trust, which is just the heart of everything in the sector that we work in. And soon I'll come to some tips of how we build trust throughout the journey, because everyone is thinking, well, can I trust this provider for either myself or my loved one? And we can do this in many ways that we're going to come to in the practical section. So just to reinforce this point, that you can have many great sales and marketing techniques going on. These are, I call them, brilliant basic fundamentals that we need to have in place. But on the right-hand side and in the circles, overarching customer centricity, that I feel just needs to be woven in more and more at the heart of it, having that clarity on who is my target customers and what do they want, what their motivation, what their needs, and this emotional decision, building trust, and how does that weave through, as we'd call it, the red thread through the whole journey. So some of you may be thinking, well, what do you mean by customer-centric selling? And there's different words out there you will have come across. Well, for me, I would say it's about demonstrating empathy and building trust. So you can do this with tone of your communications, the language you use, the words that you do to show that you understand what they are feeling and going through. We have on the right-hand side a solution-focused collaborative approach. So it's absolutely there to guide the prospect through whatever the right decision might be, whether it's moving here or it's not right, but it's what is the collaboration approach? It's about finding solutions to their needs and wants. Also understanding that the prospect is in control. They would like their autonomy, and how do we approach that in the correct way to move forward down the journey. So I'm saying the word journey a few times, and we know in our sector it's not absolutely linear. So what I wanted to put here was a bit of a wave. I mean, truly this would actually go backwards and forwards sometimes, and you know, here I visit, then I go back here to look for more information, then I go But what I wanted to illustrate here is, as we think about sales and marketing, we're looking across the end-to-end journey. So from the top of the funnel of finding out initially, having that awareness, where you might find out through an online advert, you might have word of mouth. How then are all these different touch points that we're going to be covering with our prospect to try to move them down the funnel to move in with us? Could put about 100 different touch points on here. Sales and marketing isn't just one silver bullet. I get asked that a lot. It's actually having all of these optimized that are working in the right effective ways in terms of what's right for your customer. This is the journey of which we look at all of those 100 different touch points and think about how do we build in that correct level of customer centricity and trust just throughout everything. So building trust was a point I mentioned a few minutes ago. I've provided 2 slides here about just great examples I've seen, and I mean, I'm constantly looking out and going around seeing different operators about what they do to build trust and educate the customer, because we are absolutely wanting to hone in on doing those. So these are some good examples I've seen from our sector of ways to do that. So we could be having social proof through customer testimonials. That was an example I just pulled off from Audley villages there, where you have many of their customers speaking about how delightful it is to live in their villages. We've got community networking, where it's key to be going out there and building relationships with the local relevant organizations, be that different sports associations or businesses or local hairdressers, dentists, doctors, hospitals. There's probably about 50 to 70 different associations per property that we can be building relationships with, building trust with, so that they understand our proposition. Doing charity events, such as there's been quite a few on recently, about supporting dementia, to show that we understand our customers and their families, what we're going through. Sponsoring sports is a good example of knowing, well, what is my customer doing, what's important to them. And many times bowls or golf, these are examples of sporting events that we can sponsor to show that we are there in their minds. Societal issue campaigns. This was one I saw from Inspire Villages recently, which was tapping into the loneliness, which is such a societal issue. And then on the right is blogs, just constant knowledge sharing about different topics that are important to people, whether it's financial information or nursing care information, dementia care information, downsizing information. There's so many topics to show our knowledge and educate people. And it goes on and on. Resident stories, I think, are an excellent way, building on the customer testimonials to build trust. We have lots of videos can bring to life how amazing our places are. So this was one from Ashbury Care Homes, saying about the staff there and how much they love what they do. Then we have some free guides I took there from Barchester, just showing examples of topics that people really want to find more information about. So it's all about what questions are our prospects aren't asking, so that we can provide information to answer that. And reviews are an excellent way. We know in many industries, online reviews can account for 70% of someone's decision purchase. So here, whether it's care homes or Google reviews, it's just an excellent way. So now we're going to come to the second part of the webinar, which is about getting more into practical tips and examples. So we want to start here really with the lead generation part. How do we get consistent rhythm of leads? So thinking of all these different channels that we have available. And I just want to sort of build here this slide to show how many different channels we have. And it's all about knowing, back to the customer, well, what's the right message on the right channel for our customer? Which ones do we want to focus on heavily to make sure our return on investment is the most, because we've got the results to show that that's producing great quality leads for us. We don't obviously just want rubbish quantity leads. We want great quality leads that really convert well, and having that data on the high conversions is important. So for online marketing, we've got all these different channels that we can choose. So I'm putting up SEO strategies. It's a lot of greatness we can do there with keyword analysis, YouTube videos and blogs to make sure we appear high organically. We've got email marketing, website, social media, video. You know, video is highly powerful and getting more and more each day. Paid advertising, blogging, we've touched on that, and content marketing. These are all different great channels that we're using to drive quality leads. And then on the offline marketing side, we've got events, partnerships, print, direct mail, regular newsletters, and local community outreach. And for this one, I just put another particular slide on it because of all those offline marketing channels, more of the traditional ones, the one I'd say is more of a missed opportunity is the local community outreach, because often it just falls in an area, a grey area of, well, whose role is it? Or many people, you know, would find it sort of daunting. But these are just some examples. Business commerce events, that's more the business angle. In care homes, you sometimes do these blue light coffee mornings, which is a lovely way to get to know the healthcare teams. You've got days where you bring in different associations, say the Bowls Club, to your place so that they can visit, which is ultimately what we all want, more people to visit us. And even just a hairdressers, knowing where do most of my customers go, and many it might be, well, the hairdressers. That's a great place to build relationships with people who will ultimately refer you, and referrals have excellent conversion rates. Back to that point about knowing which channel of those 20 focusing on, and just for all of them making sure they're optimized with that customer-centric angle. Customer referrals can be absolutely excellent. Nothing better than having a recommendation from someone who lives there, and that word of mouth is great conversion. That's the marketing side of things. Now I want to talk about where we can optimize occupancy, and that's having an honest look at your customer journey. Now, this is my ceiling at the moment, and just looking at where my ceiling is, just depressing. But we have had various people, plumbers, coming in to try to find why my ceiling is leaking all over this couch and carpet that we've had to move out. And I'm just building this analogy, being a conceptual person, because the plumbers have, and there's been a few of them, are trying to do different things to stop the water leaking. And finally, this was like a last resort here, opened up the whole ceiling and changed this gold tap that had eroded or whatever with acid. But before that, there was many other plumbers sort of sealing things and all that. Anyway, the point is I'm trying to make is about we needed to fix where the leaky bucket is. And this is my analogy here for another area. I think a great opportunity for people is where are you leaking? So this is the customer journey, and you've probably heard of the leaky bucket. It's where is all this water leaking out of your journey or your hose pipe? So from people finding out about you, have you mapped out your customer journey to say the process of what is happening? So the process of someone inquires, then it goes here, or then it's a phone call. Then at this phone call, it's entered here onto this CRM system. And then the standard after this is that someone's going to phone up definitely within 1 hour. And then all the way through. There are so many moments that we have leaky bucket. And I'm just going to pull up many of them that I commonly come across. And I would say these are the symptoms. My job is usually more, I call myself a plumber. Never thought I'd say that, but more to fix these. So if we're just looking at, well, where do I see most of the common leaks? Phone calls not being answered can be terribly frustrating. I mean, 70% of calls don't get answered in our industry. It's just shocking. No call to actions on website, low lead generation inquiry volumes, poor imagery and language, just not appropriate for our customers or on their emotional journey. No or hardly any follow-up, little community engagement, weak sales skills. These are many areas when I talk about those 100 touch points where I'm always sort of auditing them and seeing, well, where is it that we could be dropping off here? Because if we can fix those or close those leaks, then all of our water is going to smoothly run through, and we won't have any nightmare leaks that we're trying to avoid. So let's go through another practical area here of sales and marketing tips. I touched on this, but this is quite a passion area for me, is call handling excellence. So yeah, there are shocking statistics out there. About 70% of our calls in our sector don't get answered. This is really reinforcing that first impressions are absolutely everything, that it takes so much vulnerability and courage in the first place for someone to call us. And so many of our calls are just not getting answered because they're being missed or it's out of hours. Research has shown that majority of calls come in at Friday night at 7 or at weekends. And when you get into operators and look at, well, what's happening? What is that process for out of hours on Saturday or evenings? And it's not thought through. So therefore, unfortunately, all these great leads that we've generated, hopefully 20, 30 a month, are just sort of falling off because the customers just say, well, they're just obviously not wanting to take my call, or some other competitor is all over it. Some practical tips for this would be about answering within 3 rings. It's that timely speed, answering with a smile. Basics customer service here, but we all know when you actually do that and you smile, I mean, for me, I often stand up a lot, transports people with a much more positive tone. Using their name often, that works well. It's been proven. If you say it, at least 3 or 4 times, pepper potting through the conversation can make people listen more. Paraphrasing to show that you understood what they're saying, asking really open-ended questions, customizing conversations, using social proof. And this just incredible discovery process that we're trying to do on the calls to start that customer-centric journey about empathizing, building trust, building the relationship, and using curiosity. So if we look at the tour now, the actual visit, it's so amazing when someone actually comes for a visit. And with this, I think I mentioned at the beginning about my frustration or disappointment, is so oftentimes a weak area in terms of just being more about the product, where this is the real moment to use that trust and relationship that you've built up, hopefully building on from that great discovery call, to really provide a personalized tour, showing areas and storytelling around things that matter to them. So is it, could you provide a drink or food based on what you heard their favorite food or drink was? Could you show areas that match their hobbies, such as the jigsaw making table, the activities around that? How can we make this more experienced focus to come to life versus product centric? Because people buy from people, and this is such a key moment for us to then convert from visit to sale. Another key passion area of mine is around the follow-up. Follow-up is absolutely king, but follow-up is just unfortunately one of the common areas in our industry that scores the lower, in terms of very limited amount of people are following up systematically and regularly. And it's just such a shame when you've done all that effort to have the lead come through, they've done visit, and then 50% of the time just don't get contacted back, or it's just not done in a creative way. So it's thinking here, well, what is that journey afterwards? That's really where the relationship can be built. Small thoughtful gifts. Some people have small budget to do that. If they're into dogs or cats, could we provide some dog food? Could we provide, doesn't have to have any money attached to it, could we write a thank you card for coming to visit us, and it has a dog picture on the front? Could we invite them to our prospect events? Could we give them complimentary afternoon tea or lunch? There's many different creative things, and the key is just to keep doing it, at least 7-10 times. We know not to give up. In retirement villages, it can take 2-3 years, 5 years for someone to actually make that decision and move. And then ultimately, this is the after from that rickety bridge. This is now a more lovely change journey that we're all trying to get to here, where people are more happy moving in. So the bridge is sturdy, it's not rickety. We just put like a silver, very sturdy bridge here, feeling happy, reassured, confident, it's a more sunny day, calm waters. And that's, I think, the ultimate customer journey transformation that we're trying to achieve, so that we get more and more customers coming in. So just in terms of some quick summary tips to take away, it's all about selling change. It's a whole trust relationship, and building that emotional deep connection is key. This customer-centric end-to-end process, I've talked about that many times. With marketing, it's about attracting and educating. So thinking, well, what are the different channels I've got that could do this really effectively? The next point, the fourth point here, is about a consistent lead generation. So it's critical to keep that tap on of getting quality leads that convert well. Do you know your highest converting lead channels? Are you doing more to double down on them? Is it, PPC? Is it direct mail? Is it events? What is it? Customer referrals, doing more of it. Is our marketing personalized enough and uses empathy? Are our language and our images all very age appropriate and more attractive to who we're trying to target? The next point is about stopping the leaky bucket, and hopefully next time I speak to you, my ceiling will be fixed. But yeah, have you mapped your journey? Do you know where the water is leaking? I like to score every touch point, out of 5 to hone in on the weak areas. Timely and in-depth call handling. I do many calls or mystery calls, and they're like a minute or 2 minutes. Absolutely kills me. Really opening that conversation up to ideally get people to open up and build that trust and vulnerability with you, to say what's actually led to that call today. What is the reason behind everything here that they're inquiring in the first place, and thinking what's your 24/7 process. Hyper personalized tours and emotional discovery is critical to keep people moving through the funnel. Another area I'm obviously highly passionate about is highly performing sales teams. So this is a really complicated experience. It's a lifestyle. It's very challenging, and it's just, are your sales teams high performing? Have they got all the training that they need, and development and reviews and monitoring and listening to their calls, looking at their tours, looking at their conversion metrics to know, is this optimal? I need the best sales team here. Well, I need the best marketing team too. The follow-up in that systematic process, that I'm going to really know when the last activity I touched someone was, and is it regular enough? What else could I do? And then measuring and benchmarking is key, to think about how am I doing versus others, and how do I constantly improve? So today we've done a whistle-stop tour of areas covering the emotional journey of our customers, and also practical tips. I've got a QR code here for anyone to scan. I'll send you also an email after this with my ebook, which I think it's 17 chapters full of practical tips to help you fill up faster. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.